Hello, everyone. I'm Carla Center, and with me today, I have Jasmine, also known as the Healing One. And we are going to create magic today in this time together as we share some really great things about the services Jasmine offers and the modalities. I'm super excited. Um, could you introduce yourself and give us some background on who you are and how you became known as the Healing One?
Absolutely. That's a question I get a lot. So again, I'm Jasmine, also known as the Healing One, and I am the owner and CEO of I Am Healing One LLC. And the name actually started long time ago. I think almost 15, 16, 17 years ago at this point.
Oh, wow.
My career has been based across the decades in wellness. So I worked with catastrophic injuries, brain injuries, paraplegics, quadriplegics, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, stroke survivors, like you name it. And I would go in home with them and work with them to rehab and get back to as much of a quality of life as they could and creating a new normal, right? Because you had this major event that kind of interrupted everything.
Right.
And so I was doing that, and I decided after a while, okay, I need a mental health break because it's very laborious, not only physically but emotionally, when you are that directly involved in someone's home and in their everyday life and in every part of their life. And so I said, okay, God, I need a break. I need something different. Not even knowing what manifesting was at that point. I just was in the gym working out one day, and they approached me and said, "So are you a trainer?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, you look like a trainer. You know what you're doing." And I said, "Okay." And so that led to this discussion of, this is what I do, this is who I am. And so that led to them, long story short, sending me to get certified as a personal trainer and bringing me on
Right.
staff. And that was my change, right? So here I was, instead of in home, now I'm working with the general public. And so I became known as the sick trainer because they would give all the people to me with the injuries and that needed rehab and that needed that extra nurturing touch.
Right.
And so I had this bright idea at one point. Well, okay, since I have all of these people with these very specific things, like I had people that were dealing with MS, and then I had people that were dealing with knee surgery, and then I had people that were dealing with this. So I had these categories that everybody fell in, and I said, well, okay, let me see if we can do our own group coaching, because you all need help outside of me. You need to know that you're loved and supported.
Wow.
And so that kept going. And one of them one day, as we were doing some group training, just said, so I'm going to call you the Healing One. And I was like, well, where'd that just come from?
Right.
And they said, you love us. Like, you see us beyond the injuries, you see us beyond the weddings and all the cruises and the things that we want to do. You just see us, and you're genuinely concerned about our well-being. So I'm gonna call you the Healing One. Okay, let's roll with that. And then another client heard it and said, I want to call you that too. And I was like, okay, sure. And so it just turned into its own thing. And, I had a very different business name at the time. And so eventually when I said it's time to rebrand and figure out where I'm going next, and I wanted a name that not only made sense for the business where I was, but who I knew that I was becoming as the individual
Right.
person, and who I knew that I would become as the business, as the brand, who I would help. I needed it to be able to grow. Because I didn't have the full vision. I'm not going to lie. I didn't have the full vision then, but I knew it was something big. And so I Am Healing One just became the vision. It was the affirmation for me, the catchphrase, everything that just made sense, and it spoke to my soul. And so I said, I am healing one. I am healing me. I heal one. And because I can reflect that to people and I can share that with people, that allows them to heal self, which is still one. And so that became the business. And here I am all these years later. Like I said, somewhere between 2003, I think, in 2005 is when that happened. And so from there to now, you're talking about almost 20 years of being known as that and being called that by so many different people. And it just became this self-fulfilling prophecy for me. Like, yeah, I am. And so here we go.
That is so powerful. What a amazing story. And like just your gifts
Yeah.
show and reflect in that name. So that's super exciting. What kind of services do you offer clients?
Yeah, so through the years, that has it has evolved and pivoted as I have, necessarily, but also beautifully,
Yeah.
as the vision unfolded, as I grew and matured. And so I went from doing the in-home to the gym. And at that time, I was also in school for counseling. My whole intention was I was going to be in private practice as a therapist.
Right.
And at one point, I thought I would even go all the way through and either go into psychiatry or become a psychologist. And so I ended up going all the way through my PhD, and I stopped in my research. And so I'm considered ABD, all but dissertation, because I had this moment of clarity where I've been fighting it for a while, but I had this moment of clarity where I knew that was not my path. I got the knowledge, I gained the experience, because through the years, through the undergrad, through the master's, through the graduate, um, and the advanced parts of certifications and all the things that I've done, I've spent so much time studying, but through all of that, my whole focus was always, how can I help the whole person?
Right.
I eventually went to school in the midst of all of that and became a licensed massage therapist. I got my first certification as a holistic life coach. Like I did all the things because I was constantly asking myself that question, how can I help the whole person?
Right.
And so eventually I was in a car accident that stopped me from doing the massage and the fitness, the physical parts of it. So then I had to ask myself, how can I still use everything I know and help the whole person?
Right.
And so that led to me being where I am now. I'm a board certified hypnotherapist. I'm an Akashic practitioner. I do NLP. I do timeline healing, and a few other things. And so what I tell people is this: I am an intuitive and metaphysical practitioner, because I feel like that's the best way to just cover it all, since there are so many different aspects to what I can do. And I also explain they all do the same thing. There's simply different tools to help you get the job done in the way that makes sense for you, based on cultural understanding and belief systems, based on personal belief systems, based on feeling safe, right? My goal is I want to create safe space for the person to get what they need. And it's not my job to force it to be one way or the other.
Right.
So, in a nutshell, I am an intuitive and metaphysical practitioner. And that just means my goal is to help you thrive emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, and energetically in every part of your life by coming into alignment and coming into being the expression of the things that you desire.
That's amazing. And so that gives you like that ability, since you really see people, to have so many tools to use with your gifts to make a difference in their lives. That's incredible. Can you tell me about how EFT or tapping can be used daily for daily wellness?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that I learned, and the reason that I was led to EFT, one of the things that I learned early on when I was doing the work with people in home, after catastrophic events, was everything that they thought that they knew was challenged. Everything, right? Because you went from living this life one day, and then maybe the very next day, depending on how grievous the injury was, that had gone out the window. And it may have been a slow progression if it was more of an illness, but life changed. And so I realized that nobody was the same. They might have been having the same or similar injury or issue or struggle, but they were all very different as people. And
Yes.
I wanted to find ways that I could reach them and make it make sense for them. And so tapping, I was exposed to tapping by my chiropractor of all people. Like I went to a chiropractic session, and at that time, the chiropractor I was going to, she was getting trained in it. And she showed it to me and told me about it. So I started playing with it and looking at certifications and different things. And it took me a while to get to that point, but I was just so enthralled with it because I was like, oh, you mean I could just walk around tapping and it's fixing stuff? Like it
Wow.
was so, Yeah, it was so simple. And so I would experiment with my clients and say, hey, so I'm learning this thing. You want to try it? And I just saw, like, over and over, when they said yes, I saw across economic status, across social status, across culture. It didn't matter. Like, this thing, it was simple and it was easy and it made sense for them. And so all these years later, here I am still doing it and still doing it with clients. And so tapping in a nutshell works because you are helping to cause some type of release.
Right.
I'm oversimplifying this, but this is what it is.
Right.
You are causing a release as you're tapping to let go of something that may be stagnant, that may be heavy or intense or hard, that you're just ready to not have to deal with anymore. Emotion, pain, memory, etc. And then again, as you're tapping, you're also making space and embedding something new. So this is where the negative and positive rounds come in. Negative rounds, I'm releasing that thing that hurts, that thing I'm just tired of holding, that burden. Positive rounds, I am anchoring in. I am replacing with what I truly want and desire, how I want to feel or be or experience. And so tapping works in everyday life because it gives people that are feeling overwhelmed or not heard, right? It gives them the ability to process through some of that. I may not have anybody safe that I can talk to because maybe I'm deployed in the military, or maybe I'm on assignment away from my family with my job, or maybe I went out of state to school, or maybe I'm in a household full of people that love me, but they don't see me, right?
Right.
Things that people are going through. But tapping is something, and I'm just tapping right here on my collarbone, right on my heart chakra. I'm just tapping so that you can see it. Tapping is something that you can do really easy. Once you learn how to do it, it's simple to pick it up. And you just start to give yourself a little bit of relief. I have found it's extremely beneficial for people that are dealing with like anxiety symptoms, depression symptoms, again, overwhelm, stress. And you're just saying to your body, hey, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity to release some of that heaviness and some of that baggage. And there are different major tapping points. And as you work through the different tapping points, so again, another one would be the crown. Here, another one would be the eyebrow. But as you work through your different tapping points, you are anchoring into what also aligns with Chinese medicine, acupuncture and acupressure, the different meridian systems in the body. So as you're tapping into those points, again, you're clearing out. Hey, body, I hear you. It's time to let that go. Yeah. I don't want to hold that anymore, right?
Right.
And then you're seeing that far off thing over there that just felt so undoable, so impossible. And you're saying, against all hope, you know what? I'm opening up some space. I'm gonna let a little bit more of that in. I always give people the visual. Think of a vacuum cleaner. You go through, you vacuum your carpet and you pull out all the gunk. And then you go take that canister or that bag and you empty it in the trash. Now it has more room
Right.
to pick up more gunk. But in the process, your house smells better. It's cleaner. The floors are clean, right? It's the same thing tapping is doing. It's releasing the gunk and then creating space for you to call in and have room to hold or receive that which you desire. So whether that you're trying to manifest something or you're just trying to relieve something or actively heal something, it can serve that purpose of helping you transition and align energetically because you're tapping and releasing, changing frequency, aligning.
Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense for different people. I try to explain it in different ways so that it's a concept that people can embrace.
And as somebody who does do tapping and has done tapping, it is so freeing. So it's amazing. And you're exactly right. It makes space. It feels like you just release all of that pent up stuff and then you're just so free. Um, and and the fact that you use it for different things and explain it, you're right. There's all kinds of scenarios that make it just so incredible for people to use on a daily basis. And once you know it, it's easy once you understand how to do it. That's yeah.
I don't think that there's anything I haven't used tapping for. Like when I'm working with my students and with my clients, they're like, well, I'm dealing with this. And I'm like, let's try it. And, every time it works. So I don't think there's a topic that we've tried yet that it hasn't been beneficial.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you also do womb healing. You do
Yeah.
wound healing, that's for sure, but you do womb healing as well. Could you tell me a little bit about that and how that works? And
Absolutely. So I probably am slightly different. I take the probably out of it. I am slightly different in how I approach it because most often when you hear womb healing, you're hearing it from one woman speaking to another woman. And I love that. I have no problem with that. But when I started getting into it years ago, what spirit guided me to embody was that this is for everyone, man, woman, however you identify, even if you're non-gender, this is for everyone. Because even if you are physically capable of having a child, right? You have the anatomical equipment, you got a uterus and you got ovaries and all these things. That's great. So that's life creating organ system.
right.
But men, or again, if you're non-gender, even if you have more masculine considered anatomy, so you have sperm and a penis and you have testes, that's still life creating anatomy,
Right.
life giving center, womb. So that's where spirit had me to kind of come into this space and start shouting from my mountaintop, it's for everybody. And I get a lot of pushback on that because there are a lot of women that say, well, I don't feel comfortable talking about that with men. And that just means I'm not their person. And I honor that, right? Because
Right.
where spirit has me to go with it is my goal and my intention is bridging the gap in communication. There are so many of us out there that are hurting. And it's because we gestated in our mother's womb and she was in pain. And she gestated in her mother's womb and she was in pain. And
Right.
our father contributed semen to help fertilize that egg and he was in pain.
Yes.
So we have all of this DNA that came together and cooked up to create little old us. And then we hatched out and birthed out to become big us. But guess what? If those wounds weren't tended to, right? If those pains weren't honored and nurtured so that we could heal, then we went from that egg and that sperm to that baby, to that toddler, to that preschooler, to that high schooler, to that 20-year-old, and then middle age, and then 70 and 80 and whatever, we're still hurting.
Right.
And so where I come to womb healing is that is our life-giving center. That's the space, the energy chi. Different people call it different things. But our womb center, our life-giving center inside of us, energetically and physically, houses everything, births everything. Because even if you're not birthing out children, you're birthing out creativity. You're manifesting. You are creating life, right?
Right.
And if you're doing so from a place of pain and woundedness, then you're going to constantly stay stuck in the same cycles, the same patterns, the same trauma over and over and over again.
Exactly.
But if we can get to the root of that, if we can discover where the issue is and we can help you release that or heal that, unlock it in your body so that that no longer sits there and that cycle isn't replicating, then you get to go forward in emotional freedom, in healing, in availability to life, manifesting, law of attraction, whatever. Different people identify with different things.
Right.
But you get to go forth with your life creating force, fully active, fully thriving, like, let's get out there and do this. And you get to live the life that you want, not the life that you feel like you're forced to endure.
Right.
So again, it's a tool, it's a modality that is focused on how can I help you as the individual person tune inward and get fully in touch with you.
Right.
And then allow all of that to come out in such a way that you are thriving. So we are healing your life-giving center energetically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually.
That's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love that you have it centered for everyone, because we are all on a different space and level, and we all have our own needs, and we're in a different place in our lives. And just the way that you do that, that's just beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, I always make sure to mention that part because, like I said, there are women, and I understand it. There are women that don't feel safe sharing that emotional or spiritual space with men.
Yes.
And I get that, right? And so I honor that. So I'm always upfront, like, hey, we don't have to invite your boyfriend or your husband or your partner or anybody into this space with you. I am completely okay, just you and I with this. But if this is something that they are open to and something that you are open to and feel safe with, we can absolutely call them into this space with us. And both of you can do this, because if you're in a marriage trying to save a marriage and only you're doing the work, That's not really how that works. Same thing if it's a business partnership or if it's a mother trying to heal for her kids, right? Like we have to be willing to entertain and weave together the masculine and feminine in all things because we all have it. We're all male and we're all female energetically, though we have, different DNA sequences. We still comprise both. And I think trying to force ourselves to ignore that only hurts worse in the long run. So again, we have to figure out what we feel comfortable with it. And I'm still screaming from a mountaintop while still saying, hey, let's make sure this is safe for you too.
Right,
So
right. Respecting your needs at the same time, reminding you that it does make that when it's a relationship, it really does make a difference that both of you get to heal your wounds because that's where we come from is our wounds, right? When we react to stuff. That's beautiful.
yeah.
So, do you want to tell me about how I can use gratitude to help receive more money if I don't have a great relationship with money?
Heck yeah. So I get some semblance of that question almost every day because here in the spiritual arena, in the holistic arena, you've got somebody shouting every day, like, feel good about it and be high vibe and be grateful and, all these things. And I don't knock it. I am not one who's high vibe all the time. Like I have temper tantrums and I get pissed off and angry. I give myself space to feel what I feel, right?
Right.
But I do also believe in the power of gratitude and I understand that it has purpose.
Right.
And so what I explain to people is when you are working to attract money or wealth, uh, prosperity, abundance, affluence, more than enough, overflow, whatever you call it, whatever makes sense for you, when you're looking to attract that, sometimes the thing that gets in the way the most is your feeling of lack because of what you feel like you haven't had.
Right. Exactly.
And so it can be this really tricky place of, well, if I've never had it, how am I supposed to know what it feels like?
Yes.
I know. So you use gratitude as a placeholder. That's the hack, if you will. And so I actually discovered this by accident, on purpose, I guess, from spirit. When I was working with an ND client. They were diagnosed autistic and a few other things. And we were really struggling. Like we were trying hard to figure out how to help have some things make sense, right? We've been working together for a while. We created the safe space, but we just couldn't seem to help them get the momentum consistently. And I was praying like, okay, spirit, help me because I don't want to just turn them away. Like there's got to be a way to make this make sense. And ding, 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 ding. Like spirit was like, tell them this. And at first I thought it was the stupidest thing. And I was like, well, I'm going to say it. Okay, let's go for it. And I said, I want you to watch a movie. Because there was a disconnect when we were working on the manifesting and the creation part, being intentional every day. There was a disconnect with the emotion and the feeling of it, and they just didn't have it. And I said, okay, you're always talking to me about movies. What are some of your favorite movies? And they started listing them. And we went and found in their list a movie for each of the emotions that they wanted to feel. So there was, part of what we were working on was creating a fulfilling relationship. So we found romantic movies that kind of hit that spot. Yeah. And then part of what we were working on was creating more financial freedom and flow in their business. So we went and found movies that were all about like small home, people, because they were from a small town. So we specifically looked for the ones that were all about these small home, small town people being able to have these businesses that were really good and fulfilling and making money. And I said, I want you to watch these movies and find the scene that just makes sense. Like you see it and it's like, that's how I want to feel. That's it. Right. When you find that scene, I want you to hold that. You may not feel exactly what you think they're feeling, and that's okay. That's not the point. But you're going to start to feel something, like something. And that's what we're going to build on. And so they found it. They got back with me in the next session and they described it to me. I went and looked for the movie and found, like, we really got into this, right? And so once I knew what it was, okay, boom. And we took that little seed and we just built on it. And I said, that's what the gratitude can feel like. So we're not worried about you having the exact emotion of what you will be in that future moment. I just want you to feel good. Feel the joy, feel the thankfulness, right? So you're mimicking what you see them doing. And we took that little seed and we kept building on it and building on it and building on it. And it was a card holder, a placeholder for love and for money, right? And so eventually the trick started working, the hack started working. And they called me one day so excited, Jasmine, guess what? And I'm like, what? Tell me. And they started having the moments where the Facebook posts were catching and they were getting the engagement. And I said, so now you're starting to see what it feels like for you. And then they got their first sale, and then they got their third sale, and then their 10th sale. And then they started being more visible to people and getting people asking them out. Okay, so now you know how that feels. So now we'll take it and we'll play with that feeling. So the point being, even if you've never had a thing, find something that mimics what you think you want to feel like. That could be a movie, it could be a book, it could be a song. Find it. Look at that as the visual vantage point of where you're going, and then figure out a way to connect to that for you. It might be a small little ember of a feeling. Feel it and then let it build and keep stoking that fire. Watch it over and over again if you got to. Put that song on repeat for 30 minutes a day and dance your little soul out to it. But get yourself not to a happy space, but to a place of appreciation for, there it is. That's my feeling, right? And that gratitude is what will help you to eventually bridge the gap to what you are wanting to feel for where you're wanting to go. Because that is one of the bedrocks of being able to manifest easier and more consistently is, how can you align energetically and vibrationally with the thing that you want? How can you get into frequency or flow with it and remove resistance? So gratitude isn't the end all be all to manifesting. It's just one part of it. It's just one way, but it is something that can help you to feel intrinsically in ways that help you to match what you want. And so I challenge you guys, take that, play with it. Now I tell all my clients and all my students, do this. And it works over and over and over again. So see if it works for you guys.
That's wonderful. And you're right. A lot of times they just say, just feel what you would feel if you had it. And people are like, but I've never had it. So this is really a wonderful way for people to just really understand how to just feel it. And I would have never thought, go find a movie, go find music, all of that. So that's really incredible. And I look forward to hearing anybody's stories about how they use this. And yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Jasmine. And could you tell us a little bit about the free gifts that you gave everyone?
Yes. So I am giving you all access to my Cultivating Your Wealthy Mindset PDF. And I wanted to offer that because we are like butt ends in a pandemic, right? It's not gone. It's still doing its little weird thing out there. We're all still figuring out how we were affected going through that process, either personally or through our loved ones. Some people never lost their job. They actually made more money in their job or their business. Some people were affected financially. Some people were affected health-wise. Some people were affected through their mental health, right? Or the loss of loved ones. Like, we're all still figuring out what that looks like in our experience. And then now everywhere you turn, online, radio, news, whatever, recession. Like, you're hearing it screamed at you all over the place. And so what I want to do is help you combat that. I want to help you figure out what wealth means to you, because please don't let the news fool you. There are people still out there spending money every single day.
Yes.
There are businesses out there still thriving. There are jobs out there still paying well. And there are companies that do give a damn about your mental health, right? There's always good, no matter what rhetoric may tell you. And so going through this PDF is just a way to help you remember what it is for you, because wealth is different for every person. Yes. Right? It's a different dollar amount. It's a different feeling. It's a different experience. It's individual and it's personal. And so my goal as you go through this PDF is to get you to tune back inward. Take your eyes off of all the stuff, all the people, because that'll drive you crazy.
Right.
Bring it back here and tune inward to ask yourself, what does it mean for me? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And again, we just gave you an amazing exercise. If you say, well, I don't know what it feels like, now you've got a way to help yourself figure that out. Right. So go through the PDF, ask yourself the questions, use the tips and tricks in there, and really allow it to help you tune into your wealth consciousness, because the more you can align with the thing and you can remove the resistance and the distance between it, the easier it is to now experience it and be that thing. You're not faking it till you make it. You're not constantly chasing after it. You are being, you're expressing, right? You're living that, whatever it is for you, whether it's more money, more love, or all the above, because all of it's fine. So take it, walk yourself through it. When you grab it, it'll actually bring you into our portal, and the comments are turned on. So we love your feedback. Share your thoughts with us and ask your questions, because that just might lead to some bonus content for you. I don't know. But use this to help yourself tap back into the overflow that you desire in whatever ways make sense for you.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us and for giving that to everybody. How can a person who would love to work with you contact you?
So there are a couple of different ways. The main way I tell people, connect with us on Facebook. That's where we spend most of our time. You can look us up just by typing in I Am Healing One on Facebook, and that should pull up our business page. I Am Healing One, also known as the Unapologetic Healer. And then we have our private Facebook group. Again, you can search that. It's called the Unapologetic Healer, but you'll see us talking about it all over our Facebook page too, so you can't miss it. It's there. You can also go to our website, which is www.iamhealingone.org. And that has all the information about the different services that we offer, the different ways that we can support you. Our crystals, my clients love me because they also call me the crystal lady. And so, so the website has all of the different ways that you can connect with us. You can also schedule a consultation with us, because before you sign up for anything, if you're not sure, we want you to feel good about it. So you can find all of those links there just to check us out, do your due diligence, and see if we feel good for you energetically. And when I say we, I'm referring to me and the team of people that are behind me that help me to do this, because it's not just being by myself.
All right.
And if you have any questions, just reach out and let us know, and we'd love to chat with you more.
That's wonderful. And thank you so much for coming and sharing all of this with us today, and for being a part of this. And it has been such a pleasure getting to talk to you, and getting to ask you questions so you could share all of all this beautiful energy and knowledge that you have. And I'm excited to hear about all the people that really get to heal because they got to connect with you. And I really appreciate you. And thank you so much.
Thank you all as well. And many blessings and so much love to every single person that's going to watch this replay and this recording, because if you're here, I believe you're here on purpose and in purpose. And that's not just about working a job or doing a business and helping everybody else, but also what you're here to receive. And so I hope that you'll take something from this to remind you that you're amazing and you deserve the desires of your heart as well.
Thank you.